Does a foundation CEO need to be good at all three of these domains? Do they need to be good at the board? They need to be a leader in organizational culture and on impact in order to have impact? I don't know for sure, and I don't have the data to know for sure, and we don't have the literature or the scholarship to know for sure. But based on the stories and reflections that I heard in my process, I think that it does matter. And I think that when they're at their best, foundation CEOs are artful jugglers with focus, clarity, and care, tending to their boards, the health of their organizations, and, of course, to impact.
And I will have to confess, I've seen the foundation world as much slower than I had anticipated it is, for lots of reasons which are perfectly understandable, in part because it doesn't have customers or clients or a legislature or donors to be accountable to. So one of the challenges for us, and all the board members would concur, is if we are reaching for aspirational change in each of those fields, and we have really competent program staff who carry that out, who come from those fields, how does the board, what role does the board play in helping shape direction and strategy and co-creating with management around three very, very different fields? And then how does the board, in its role as sort of ultimate authority, ensure that the traction we're making against aspirational change, which after all is a very, very long time horizon, is happening? Community. I was always challenged when I was CEO of the Nature Conservancy, mostly by foundations, is why didn't we work more closely with World Wildlife Fund or Conservation International? I always felt like kind of throwing it back. So why don't you foundations work more closely with one another? You all have your own theory of change. You all have your way of measuring things. You all have your different reports, different time schedules, different styles and characteristics. And interestingly, as more wealthy donors have come into philanthropy, wealthy individuals have come into philanthropy, there's more of that noise, more theories of change, more conviction. I know the way to do it, so I'm going to, I will impose these. More imposition on organizations. So what I've been wanting to work towards, however, is that it's a shared theory of change with the communities we work in. It's not when we say, okay, we've got our theory of change, now you carry out this part of it and we'll contract with you. So that is a big difference. I also think theories of change sound so academic sometimes. We really talk about, we have a hypothesis. There's a problem here. We think we have a solution. These are the organizations that are working on it. We have some financial wherewithal. We also have a voice. We also have connections that we can lend to the effort. So it's a sense of community engagement and alignment behind a shared theory of change, if you will.
And in a way, that's what I've been hearing a lot today, is the need, in a sense, for philanthropy to better understand multi-stakeholder groups, of which the foundation is only one stakeholder.
Yeah.
So I think in terms of issues for the future, that's certainly one I would want to understand better, especially with some of the newer approaches that are underlying multi-stakeholder coalition building now.
We understand that we're enablers. We don't do the work. As enablers, we really need to understand the cultures, the overall culture of the communities in which we work, the key organizations in those communities, whether they're ones that we support or not. They may be government agencies. To understand the character and the culture of what we're working in. And if we have influence, it's a leadership from behind, and that's the hardest kind of leadership of all, because you really have to do it in solidarity. You have to do it in respect and trust and confidence. You have to allow for things to go differently than you might want if you were doing it yourself.
So I think in that sense of privilege of both being a medical doc and a president is to honor what these roles mean in our society, and to do them with grace and humility, as was spoken about this morning.